Yo, what's up, Broncos country? How's it going tonight, guys? So, we wanted to get on here tonight and talk to you guys about the game that happened tonight and a few other things. But first and foremost, Mohammed, what was your gut reaction to the Broncos' loss tonight against the Chargers at home?
Frustrating. I think that word just sums it up, Eddie. Offense couldn't get going till the last quarter. Defense started with us losing PS2. That just changed our whole defensive scheme. We started playing zone. Of course, they took advantage of that and just going through it, scoring touchdown, first downs. And like I said, our offense just wasn't doing much. I don't like. I know we talked about this before the show. I don't know what Sean Payton is waiting for, but we need to start like open up the playbook and start, letting Bo Nix be Bo Nix and just, take the training wheels off, if you would say.
I'm pissed. Like, I am so freaking mad. It's not even funny. Like, yes, losing PS2, that was devastating. At that point, when PS2 went down, and then I saw Justin Herbert starting to cook. I was surprised early in the game. Like, they were throwing the ball a lot on their first drive. I figured they'd run, because that's what kind of team they are. They are a run first team. And, they came out throwing the ball. And after PS2 went down and the defense was just getting cooked on every freaking play, I was like, yeah, this game's not going to go the way we think it's going to go. Um, but my biggest issue, the reason why I'm so pissed off is Sean Payton. The guy's really starting to get on my goddamn last nerve. Like you kind of touched on it a little bit, Muhammad. You said take the training wheels off. Yes, he needs to. Like I see a lot of people out there saying Bo Nix ain't the guy. He's garbage. He's trash. He's overthrowing receivers. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, Bo Nix didn't have a great day today. He overthrew a few receivers, and he's still a rookie. I don't care. Those growing pains are going to happen. Now, people are going to try to compare him to what Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels did. They were the first and second pick in the draft for a reason. Drake May even had a solid day today in his first start, but I'm pretty sure the Patriots lost. But he's still the third overall pick. But I'm not too worried because my thing is like the whole team played like garbage today. Like Sean Payton, what's up, Michael? Thanks for joining us, man.
Hey,
Sean
Mike.
Payton, like I said, is really starting to piss me off. Like he is not opening the playbook. Open the playbook. Like we understand. Like yes, the Bronco fans want to win this year, but we understand this is an evaluation year. You're trying to evaluate the talent on the roster, see who you're going to keep after this year, and to see what your young quarterback, your young rookie quarterback can do. Hampering him by not opening the playbook fully is not helping with that at all. You know, we heard all offseason, Sean Payton, even kind of said it himself, they want this to be like the offense in New Orleans, where it's going to be like short, bam, bam, little passes over the middle. He kept trying to make Bo Nix throw deep at almost every play in that first half. And it's like, dude, it's not working. The offensive line's getting beat. You have injuries, you know, try to do those short intermediate routes, like hooks and curl flats, stuff like that, just get the ball out quick. And not all of that is on Sean Payton because these receivers cannot get open to freaking save their lives. And that's another thing that's starting to tick me off. I understand we don't have that much talent, but come on, man. Like, seriously, you're telling me Cortland Sutton can't get open, Marvin Mims can't get open, none of these guys can get open at all? Like, then why are you an NFL wide receiver? Yes, I know we don't have a whole lot of talent, but these guys are still NFL receivers. They can't get open here and there. Um, and the fact that the one thing that really ticked me off about today, and honestly, it's been a problem with me all year, is the fact that this team starts so freaking slow on offense
They
at the
do.
start of the game. They always start slow. And this today's game was a perfect instance of this team is so inconsistent that today they literally had no fight. They had no grit. They had no dog in them to win this game. They kind of were just like, whatever, we're just out here, that's cool, whatever. We're not going to try. Like, and that to me is lack of preparation and lack of coaching. And also, I kind of talked to you about this earlier, Mohammed. Like in the fourth quarter, when they were trying to go hurry up, to go down the field and score when there was like 5 minutes left to go in the game, Jaleel, he hits Jaleel over the middle. Bo Nix does. He goes down and he literally lays on the ground and he doesn't get up. He just lays there. It's like, dude, where's the urgency? You're trying to come back and maybe possibly win. I mean, it was a long shot, but you're trying to come back and win. Get up and get back in the huddle. Stop laying there on the ground. Someone mentioned to me earlier in the game, there wasn't no urgency. The players were just laying on the ground, not really caring to get back to the huddle. Like that is on coaching. The urgency of this team,
Coaching.
the fight, the dog, that is all on coaching. And honestly, Sean Payton, like I said, is starting to piss me off with this stuff. He came in here to change the culture and the team. I understand we don't have a whole lot of talent on this roster. I'll give Sean a pass on that. It's probably going to take a few years because we're limited funds, limited draft capital because of the Russ thing. I'm fine. But you know what? These are young guys. You should still have the team ready and have a sense of urgency. And that's what ticks me off. But with that said, Mohammed, what were your overall thoughts on the offense today? Like not just Bo Nix, but like the offensive line, the receivers.
Like something I wanted to touch on honestly is I'm concerned about Bonix and his wide receivers as far as building that chemistry. I mean, when the season started, we were saying that well they were giving most, he wasn't getting all the first team rips and stuff, so that's why he doesn't have the timing right. But it's been a while now. This is what, week 6, going week 7, and we still don't have an like we still have an issue. Like you would think Bonix would be comfortable with like a wide receiver, at least one, be like, okay, this is his guy, right? And I thought Sutton would be the guy, but it's just not happening. I don't even know. I don't know if it's Bonix. I don't know if it's Cortland Sutton. I don't know if it's the wide receivers. The O line. I mean, with all the injuries, I think they did okay. I mean, considering, I mean, I thought it'll be worse than this, to be honest with you, Eddie. But going back to the whole thing with coaching, Sean Payton is just like ice cold about the whole thing, Eddie. I mean, and it's been like this for a while. Like he's just back and just like, let's see what they got. I don't even think that the playoffs or all this stuff is something that he's actually thinking about. We are, like the fans are, right? But I don't think he is thinking about it. I don't think the organization or the owners are, thinking about this. Maybe they're saying, okay, we just got our quarterback. We're just going to sit back, evaluate, see what we have. We're not too concerned about anything. Maybe that explains the urgency. But I agree with you 100%, Eddie. They don't have that fire they had on the preseason. They're just like nonchalant about the whole thing. And I get the same feelings from Sean Payton. I don't know why that is, but it's not a concern for them.
Yeah, but going off what Michael said here, the Cowboys lost today, 47-9 to the Lions at home. Like that made me feel a little bit better. At least we didn't get completely destroyed today. Thanks, Michael, for your comment, man.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it has to be like, but still, like you should still try to play to win. I understand playoffs. That's a far scarce. You're not really. Maybe you're right. Maybe Sean's not trying, but it's like, come on, man. Like if you don't say, hey, have a sense of urgency, have a sense of dog in you, try to fight. Like how can you properly evaluate this roster then if you don't know if guys are just taking it easy and you're just as the coach like who cares, you can't really see who is really a gamer and who should be on this roster past this year. Like you got to see like those guys have that fight in them. And lack of coaching still like it doesn't matter. You should still play the game to win. Like the thing is the Broncos could still have that urgency, have that dog in them and still play to win. Like today I would have been fine with the loss still if the Broncos actually showed some freaking something, just showed some energy. They just looked like they were just like, cash it in. The season's over. We're done. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, get even if you're doing that, like again, like open the playbook. I said this a few weeks ago. Like, dude, if we know that we're gonna lose and we're gonna be bad because of lack of talent on the team, which is fine. Like I'm all for it. Like, it's gonna take a couple of years to rebuild. Cool. But at least give us something to be, excited to watch the game for. Like, even if you lose, but if you're at least fighting, like people will say, oh, well, they started fighting at the end. Like, where's that fight through the entire game? The only reason why the Broncos even looked good and got those points towards the end of the game, it was garbage time stats. The defense was playing preventative defense and just letting them get away with that stuff.
True.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't do, have the urgency, the accountability, the, fight in you, like, how can you properly evaluate this roster, knowing who's going to, be the dog, be like, hey, if I need to make a play when the time comes, I'll make it, next year or this year or whenever. And Javonte Williams, like, I started letting up on him a little bit over these last couple of weeks when he really started playing better, but his vision's still a problem. He has no vision. The guy can't see worth crap. Like, the very first play of the game today, it was a run, I think, to the left, I believe. He runs straight into the defense, straight into it. If he would have bounced outside, there was all that green grass out there in front of him. He could have easily picked up a first down.
Just
Instead,
blind.
he's like, oh, I'm going to run right into the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, dude. And then his ball security, like, that fumble alone led to a touchdown. Like, if Javonte doesn't fumble that ball, maybe this game's tied at
Yeah.
the end of the game, 16-16. Same with there was another play. Oh, the big play to Cortland Sutton late in the game. I think it was like the early fourth quarter
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, Bo Nix hits Sutton down the field and like for a 40-yard gain gets down to like the 20-yard line of the Chargers and it gets, pretty much called back because of a hold on Quinn Miners. This team I think had like 60 or 70 yards of penalties today. Penalties are still an issue. That's still on the coaching. Like, once again, how can you properly evaluate the talent if you're just like nonchalantly like, I don't care, if they commit penalties, whatever? How are you going to evaluate that? What, you just like let them do whatever they want and be like, try to coach them up after the year or next year? Like, no, you should be coaching them up now. Be like, hey, don't do that again. This team is still committing way too many penalties, in my opinion. Way too many. Javonte, like I've said before, and I'll say it again, he can go. Like, I've seen enough. Even if he had like these next 2 games before the trade deadline or 3 games before the trade deadline, if he balls out and has good games, I don't care. Get rid of him. The guy has no vision. Unless there's a gaping hole that he is like right in front of him where he can see, he's not any good. I'm sorry, he's not. He can't, like you saw earlier, who was it? The Chargers running back, J.K. Dobbins. You
Mm-hmm.
seen him earlier. Like, he would run up the middle, there wouldn't be nothing there. He'd bounce outside and run and pick up like 9 yards. Like, Javonte doesn't do that. He'll just run right into the teeth of the defense. And I even tried, he did it one time today where he spun out and picked up like 7 yards. But he doesn't do that. And Michael coming in here, he said a couple of comments here. He said, stop giving Javonte Williams in the running back or running game because he fumbles and costs us the Broncos NFL games.
It's true.
I agree with that, but I don't think it's just his fumbling, Michael. It's his vision too, because yes, fumbling's a bigger issue. I'll agree with that because, like I said, that fumble today directly resulted in 7 points for the Chargers, and the game could have been tied if Javonte doesn't fumble that ball. But also at the same time, if he could actually have vision and see the holes and run, maybe the offense stays out on the field a little longer. I'm just sick of it. Like, the guy can go. And McLaughlin, like, I might give him a pass because this is a second year. This is like Javonte's fourth year, and it's the same crap every year. No vision, fumbles the ball. He doesn't fumble as much as Melvin Gordon, but he still fumbles too much for my taste. But Jaleel, I give him a year. We didn't really see Estime until towards the end of the game, which I think after that fumble, Sean Payton should have gave Estime a lot more reps. You know, put Javon, and that's the other thing, accountability. Like, Javonte fumbles, he's still in the game. You got Estime back, put him in the game.
Yeah.
Get him some reps, get him some touches. Maybe he can do something. Get him some experience. Nope, just keep running Javonte out there, and he's not doing nothing. Um, Also, Michael came in with another comment. Let's see. No tight end production. Yeah, that's true. Like, I don't think Greg Dulcich was out there again. I think he was a healthy scratch again this week. I think the only tight end I seen catch a pass was Lucas Kroll today.
Oh yeah.
Um, like this team's got a lot of holes to fill this offseason. I do agree with that. But this coaching staff, like, I don't care what their reasoning is. Like, there is no reason not to have this team ready and have this team at least fighting to get wins. This team today, like, even if you're tanking, like we've seen it in years past, like I think it was a few years ago, like the Jags or the Texans, one of those two teams, they were very, like, they were out of the playoffs. It was week 18, but they fought and they won. Like they actually had the fight in them to go out there and win that game. Like that win, honestly, didn't really mean anything other than maybe just like, oh hey, we got the win, just to feel good. But it didn't mean anything in the standings. But they went out there and they had heart, just like Dan Campbell's teams before the Lions got good. They went out there and fought. Like when you knew you had to play the Lions, yeah, you're probably going to win, but they were going to make you earn it. The Broncos didn't make the Chargers earn shit today. The Chargers just went in there and the Broncos are like rolled over. Chargers like, okay, thanks. We'll just take the win, I guess. We're just gonna have an easy breezy day. But with that said, I want to get your thoughts on this too. I'm talking too much. Uh, what were your thoughts on the defense today, Mohammed?
I mean, losing BS2 actually, kind of told me that he's like a big, huge part of our defense. You could see the difference. You could see the momentum just changing, and so Vance Joseph had to change his scheme to zone, as I mentioned earlier. Um, I was very frustrated. Like he was just, Herbert just did whatever he wants to do. First down, second, first down here, first down there, touchdown, just running the ball, just crazy. You know, um, I hope we get PS2 soon. I know he's like being evaluated. I don't know if he'll be able to play next game or not, but um, we do need him. We missed him today. We did miss him a lot. Um, like I said, man, we if we like I said, if we play zone, we're gonna be in trouble. That's what I came with. Like, playing man was helping us, but playing zone is a bad idea.
Yeah, like once PS2 went out, I was just like, well, I don't think the defense is going to be doing that well. In the secondary, at least. I was like, the secondary ain't going to do that well. Because our defensive line has been one of the best defensive lines at stopping the run. Not today. Like, we had no pass rush. None.
Zero, yeah.
Justin Herbert was able to sit back in the pocket all day and just pick this defense apart. Like you said, they played a lot of zone. Justin Herbert was just able to sit back there and pick apart the zone coverage. And that's because like a pass rush. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nick Benito, I still think the kid's gonna be good, but once again, lack of freaking fight, lack of, I wouldn't say maybe I could say preparation, but it was more of a lack of, just giving a crap. Like this defense just didn't seem like they cared.
Mhm.
And it's like, come on, man. And I just don't think it's the entire defense is playing like that because they're just like, hey, we're gonna play like this. That's a coaching issue. Like, if what you're saying is true, Muhammad, that Sean Payton just kind of like, we really don't care. We're just gonna evaluate talent this year. That's a problem. I don't care if this is a lost season if you're not focused on making the playoffs. You're just only focused on evaluating talent. Once again, that's part of evaluating the talent to see who's actually willing to go in there, go in the trenches and fight and play and wanting to be here. Like, to me, it's just frustrating and just a lack of accountability, lack of any kind of fight or just urgency on even on the defense. Like they just didn't seem to care. Was just so freaking just like, oh. And with that said, I kind of missed this part. The offensive line too. Like if you watch that game today, the one thing I really did notice out of all the other, obvious stuff was when you saw Bo Nix drop back to pass, he would hike it, whether if he was in shotgun or if he was under center, he would drop back after he hiked the ball, and you see him start drifting to his left.
Mhm.
Why? Because there was instant pressure off the right side because of Matt Parrott. Like he was getting beat off the snap all day today. Like you watch the game, you'll see Bo Nix hike. As soon as he gets the ball, he's moving to the left,
Mhm.
trying to get away from the pressure. And You mean
That
that's
was
not
kind of
really
expected, though, Eddie. Right? I mean, I kind of expected to be have like we us to have an issue on that side.
well because I think they had Khalil Mack over there most of the day because going up against a third string tackle, their best pass rusher Khalil Mack. Like, yeah, that's going to be a matchup the Chargers were going to exploit, but it just didn't like. Sometimes they didn't have help over there. Like for me, like if you're going to be over there, always have a tight end over there, especially today. Like every play, have a tight end or someone over there ready to freaking chip. Maybe help Matt Parrott out and to get Bo Nix a little more time. But at the same time, it's like even if you give Bo Nix that extra second today, receivers weren't getting open. They were just not carrying enough to get open, just like they have in previous weeks. They don't care. And that's a problem. Like, honestly, all these receivers can get cut for all I care because regardless of what you're saying about Sean Payton is true, like these players should be like, you know what, I'm out here. I need to make the best, chance of this, opportunity I have and do something. The fact that they just don't seem like they care and they're getting open, then I don't care. I don't want them on the team. I want guys on the team that are willing to win. And honestly, like I said, Bo Nix did not look good today. He had some bad overthrows. He had some bad underthrows. The interception, I really don't blame on Nix. Yeah, it was a little high to Marvin Mims, but honestly, that was a PI. Like if you go back and watch that play, the DB is pulling on Marvin Mims' jersey, impeding him from running his route. Yes, Nix did throw it a little high, but it still hit Marvin Mims in the hand. He should have caught it. Uh, but with that said, like Sean Payton just didn't seem to care. Like you see your rookie quarterback constantly whenever he gets the ball, he's like moving to his left because he knows the pressure's coming off the right side, and you don't do anything about it.
Get him some help, tight end or somebody to block.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this team does need a lot. It needs a new running back. Honestly, I'd say Bowles is probably going to be gone after this year. They're going to need like I don't know. Hopefully McGlinchey comes back and he starts playing better. But for sure, I know this team they need a number one wide receiver. They need a tight
yeah.
end. They're going to need a left tackle. They're going to need a running back. They're going to need an elite pass rusher. There's so many things this team needs this coming up off season, and they're going to have the money in the draft picks. They need to go out and get this stuff.
They're gonna be
Um,
busy on the free agency next season, Eddie. That's for sure.
I
They're
hope
gonna be
so.
very active. Yeah, but I
Um,
mean, Eddie, it's gonna show really if they're trying to win or not. I mean, we shall see if they actually trade for anybody because we do need players now this season. I don't think
yeah,
they're really gonna do much.
but if what you're saying is true, that you know the Broncos are not really caring enough this year. They're mostly evaluating talent, which once again, like I said, like if you're just evaluating talent, you should still try and care. Like I don't think they're gonna do that. Like, yeah, you could probably go out right before the trade deadline. You probably pick up a decent pass rusher, maybe a decent receiver, and then give them a big contract extension this offseason when you have the money, and keep him around for a few years. Like, I don't know, like you can go out and get Kyle Pitts, who the Falcons are probably going to get rid of, maybe, or maybe, T. Higgins, or, I'm trying to think of a pass, like one of these pass rushers on one of these teams that they're probably going to wind up trading away. Like, but I can't stand this crap. Like Sean Payton, like I said, just give the fans something to cheer for. Like if you know you're gonna suck, open the playbook. Let Bo Nix ball. Like even if he throws multiple interceptions, like today he threw one, but he had two touchdowns too. I think right now Bo Nix is at like four passing touchdowns on the year. I think wait, one, two, three, four, five. He's got five passing touchdowns and I think five interceptions on the year. And, Bo Nix is showing me he can do things, but it's like it seems like Bo Nix is the only one out there trying.
I agree,
Like when
100%.
the offensive line crumbles and he's running for his life, like that one play today, for instance, I'll bring that up, where he snaps the ball. I can't remember who it was. I think it was maybe Ben Powers or the center Forsyth that got beat off the snap. The
Hmm.
freaking defensive lineman was in Bo Nix. He had him. He had him wrapped up here, getting
Hmm.
ready to take him down. What's Bo
Got
Nix
away.
do? Takes him off and runs for
Mhm.
like 16, 17 yards.
That was really
Bo,
impressive, Eddie. Yeah, I was
Bo
really
Nix is
impressed.
like the only one that cares out there on the field.
Mhm.
Like I'm not going to judge Bo Nix from his first half stats, the interception, only having 22 yards, and overthrowing a few receivers when it seems like he's the only one that gives a crap.
But see, Eddie, like for me, Bonix, all this notion that he's not the guy and all this, that's a bunch of nonsense. The talent is there. I could see it. You could see glimpses of it. And you're right. He wants to prove something, but he's not, he's not getting the plays that he needs to get. You could tell
And
that he's very talented.
who's that fall on?
Sean
Sean
Payton.
Payton. And that's the thing. Like, honestly, like if you look over the years, like I said, to me, watching Bo Nix this year, whenever he's constantly under pressure and he's running, trying to extend plays because the offensive line's getting beat, or he's in the back and the pass rush looks like it's going to get to him, and somehow he miraculously gets out and he's able to run upfield and pick up positive yards to get first downs and stuff. Like to me, like I said, that proves that Bo Nix is the only one that seems to give a crap on this team. Even if Sean Payton's like, oh, we're just gonna evaluate, blah blah blah. Bo Nix is like, no, I want to win.
Yeah.
And a lot of people made some speculations last week about uh why Bo Nix was yelling at Sean Payton on the sideline. A lot of people are saying it's because Sean Payton had a play, Bo Nix flipped it, and he got mad at him for that, and Bo Nix went off on him. I don't think that's true. I really don't. What? And maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But I think what it is Bo Nix is getting tired of constantly being harassed in the backfield and constantly being the only one that gives a crap to win. Maybe he's like, Peyton, open the freaking playbook. Make these guys do something. I'm tired of freaking running for my life and one, that's being like, and we know this for a fact. Like, I think like 2 games this year, Javante or McLaughlin was the leading rusher. Every other game, Seahawks, Steelers, uh, I think the Bucks game, even today's game, Bo Nix was the leading rusher. The running backs weren't doing jack in those games. Bo Nix was the one that was the leading rusher. He was a leading rusher again today. That makes me think that no one's really giving a crap. Like Bo Nix is the only one out there trying. And whenever your quarterback is the leading rusher, that's a freaking for four, or I'm sorry, how many games? Out of 6 games, your leading rusher is your quarterback through in 4 games. That's a problem. I think Bo Nix is pissed because Sean Payton's not opening the playbook. He's not holding people responsible or accountable. He's not really carrying enough. I think that's why he snapped on Sean Payton because he's sick of it. He's like, I want to win. Yes, I understand we don't have that much talent, but I still want to try to win. What are your thoughts?
Um, I don't know, Eddie. I guess we'll never know, but you might be right. I mean, I think he did something that he wasn't supposed to be doing. Like maybe it's a play or that Sean Payton had him do, and he changed it. And he told him, "Why are you doing that?" And he's like, "Well, it worked out. We got a touchdown." I
We
mean,
almost got a
some,
touchdown.
I mean, almost, yeah. So, something to that line because I mean, Sean Payton wasn't like, "Why are you talking to me like that?" or anything. Like, I mean, he was kind of cool about it, cool about the whole thing too. So, but Eddie, what do you think is going to happen next week
I don't
with the
know.
Saints?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Um, the Saints, like, they don't have a quarterback right now. Spencer Rattler, he played okay today, but he's still a rookie. He's going to be in the second game. But I I honestly couldn't tell you. Like Javante Williams is, inconsistent. Like one week you might get the Javante that's gonna run for like 70, 80 yards, get upfield, make plays and get big gains. Or it could be the Javante that doesn't see the hole, fumbles the ball, and just, runs right into the defense. You could have receivers that could show up next week, like Cortland Sutton. Get open, and Bo Nix is just bam, 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 hitting them down the field. And or you get the version of Sutton that's just like, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna kind of stroll down the field. Oh crap, I did. Like even the contested catches, Cortland Sutton used to make those. He doesn't make those anymore, very much. Like if there's a guy in smothering coverage, Sutton just like it doesn't seem like he's trying hard enough to get the ball. He just like he puts his hands up. If he catches it, he catches it. If not, oh well. On to the next play.
He wants out,
Um,
Eddie.
yeah, and I just I don't know. Honestly, it also depends. Like Sertan, like you said, might not even be back next week. If Sertan's not back, I don't think that if Sertan's not playing, this defense ain't going to be good. I know that's probably a wild take, but and a lot of people will be like, "Well, we still have Riley Moss, we still have Jaquan McMillan, we still have all these players." Yeah, but PS2, I like Alex Singleton, but Alex Singleton, uh, Cody Barton, those are not the veteran leaders on this defense. It's
Yeah.
PS2. It is PS2. If he's not on that field, this team not only I don't think cares because PS2 just like he's like out there like, hey, get your head in the game, get your head out of your ass, let's do this. He's also like he's the one player that Vance Joseph. That's the reason why Vance Joseph likes blitzing so much. PS2's out there, the number one receiver is going to get locked down. He ain't doing nothing, and Vance Joseph will feel more comfortable blitzing. And but overall, Muhammad, it's going to be how this. What team are we going to get this week? It's
But
a
I mean,
coin
Eddie,
flip.
like, there's no, like, I don't. That's gotta be crazy, man. I don't see us losing to the Saints. Come on, Eddie. They got no quarterback.
Muhammad, I would agree, but if like maybe I could be wrong, but if Sean Payton's not getting up for a divisional game, like come on, like I understand it's the Saints, it's his ex team. He probably wants to show them up. So I think this team probably will be ready to go this week because I know Sean Payton, even if he's like what you said, not really carrying enough this year, doesn't really try.
Mhm.
He's going to try for the Saints game, just like he would have tried for the Pittsburgh game a lot harder if Russell Wilson would have been playing. He's going to
The
want to go
Eagle.
into he's going to want to go into New Orleans and be like, you know, this is why you shouldn't have got rid of me. Even though Sean Payton was the one that really left technically, but he's not going to want to like you. We talked about it earlier. His ego. He's not going to let that go.
Yeah.
He is going to do everything he can to win that game. So this team probably will be up to play this week, against the Saints because Sean Payton's not going to want to lose that because of his ego. But don't be surprised if in week 8, here back in Denver playing the Panthers, if you get the same soft team you got today. That's the other thing. This team was extremely soft today. They did not like they don't care. Like if Sean Payton don't care, this team don't care. And honestly, I just maybe I'm being a little bit biased here, but I think Bo Nix is the only one that gives a shit on this team. I really do.
I mean, it does seem that way, Eddie. I'm not gonna, disagree with you. And like I said, there's something, Eddie. Like Sean Payton is waiting for something. I don't know what it is that he's waiting for, but I'm sure he understands what we're talking about. He knows that he needs to be opening the playbook more for Bo Nix. He's not doing it for some reason. At the same time, Sean Payton got a long leash, Eddie. The owners told him, "Hey, this is your team. You do whatever you want to do with it." And he's
I
just like, "I'm the king. I can run it or do whatever I want to do."
Yeah, but is that a good thing?
Not necessarily, but I mean, it's like the reality that we're in. I mean, that's the
Oh
only
no,
way I
no.
can explain
You're
it.
right. It's like whenever they gave him permission to,
Hmm.
cut Russ and take on all that dead cap, I agree. Like he does have a long leash. Like you're
Yeah,
not gonna bring coach in, pay him 17 million a year, and then you give him 1 year and then he gets rid of your biggest, I wouldn't say asset, but you're the biggest player on your team that's going to cost you the most money to get rid of. They let him get rid of him and, take an $85 million dead cap hit. Yeah, I do agree. He has a long leash. But my thing is how far does this go? Like, is like if next year Sean Payton is just doing the same stuff, like I don't know. I can't say. Like I figured Sean Payton would still at least try to win, at least even if he knew he was gonna lose because of lack of talent. I figured he at least had this team ready to go and ready to win and at least try. But if we see the same crap next year, like how much more are the owners gonna take?
I think he's got a
But
couple more seasons, Eddie. Like this
well, I'm
season,
saying,
two more maybe.
like if they go out this offseason, they spend a lot of freaking cap. They go out, they get a pass rusher, receiver, tackle, running back, tight end, or they go into the draft, they get these guys, whatever they need. I'm not saying that they could be dominating or competing for a Super Bowl next year. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if this team comes out next year after they spend all those assets on those players They bring people in to help Bo Nix to build this roster, and this team still shows a lack of fight, a lack of urgency, a lack of any kind of like, hey, we want to win. How many more years can you possibly give him if he's just like, no, I'm just going to sit here and collect the paycheck basically and not really care? Like, you'd have to get rid of him. You can't continue your franchise with that. I want a coach in here that's like, and honestly, we should have beat the Chargers today. There is no doubts. Like, yes, I understand they have Justin Herbert, but honestly, their receiving game is one of their worst parts of their team. They don't have great receivers. We get burnt by tight ends today, which has been the Broncos' Achilles heel on this roster for years, is tight end just beating us, over the middle. We got beat by receivers that are like, barely making a name for themselves, like that McCourty kid and Johnson or Johnston or whatever his name is. Their recipe or their identity is run the ball. They ran for 128 yards and Justin Herbert passed for I think 250. And then on defense, they were littered with injuries today. Joey Bosa was out. I think their starting corner was out. They had a linebacker out. Like, they had a lot of people out on defense.
Yeah.
And this defense, it looks at least look competent enough to where they were able to shut things down. And I'm going to say it again. I said it earlier. John Harbaugh, I'm sorry, excuse me, out coached Sean Payton.
He did.
Just the way it is.
Yeah, he did.
There's no other way to sing it. Like, the Chargers, they're not really looking to probably win this year either. It's probably an evaluation year for Jim Harbaugh too. Mm-hmm. He came in. The Chargers, they don't really have a whole lot of talent on their roster. Running back, tight end, receivers. They got an offensive line because we know they like to run the ball. Defensively, Derwin James, I mean, he's not like one of the best safeties in the NFL. Khalil Mack, their best pass rusher, or Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa's injured. Khalil Mack's kind of past his prime. They really got a whole lot. So this is pretty much like an evaluation year for the Chargers too. Yet they came in today in the Mile High and they fought. They had grit. They had toughness. They had urgency. They actually wanted to win. And to me, that's like, okay, Sean, like, your excuse of, oh, I don't want to, this is an evaluation year, we're going to kind of take it easy. No, you should still play to win. Even if you know you're going to lose, at least try. And I don't know, man. I wish we had Jim Harbaugh, honestly. I would take Jim Harbaugh over Sean Payton, like 90% of the time. By the end of the season, depending on how it looks, it just depends on how it looks. I'd probably say that number would increase because Jim Harbaugh at least has his team ready. And it's just driving me nuts. And I agree with you. They need to open up the playbook for Bo Nix. Like, stop handcuffing this kid. If he's going to fail, he's going to fail. Trying to protect him is not really helping. Let him go out there. Let him make mistakes. Let him learn from it. And then move on to next year. But I wanted to get into a few things here. Michael, thanks for your comments, man. Sorry we haven't got to him. He said Aiden Hutchinson suffered a broken late stand in the win against the Lions defense, or with the Lions defense. That sucks. That is their best pass rusher. He's probably going to be out for a few months, if not the rest of the season, honestly, with a broken leg. What are your thoughts on that, Mohammed?
Yeah, that's really sad, man. Because I know, was it last season? There were talks about the Broncos trying to, I guess, trade for him or sign him. I don't know if he was about to sign for it with the contract. That's really sad. That's gonna affect their playoff stuff,
Yeah, especially if he's going to be out for a few months with a broken leg. That's going to take a few weeks, if not a month, to heal fully to where he's going to be back to where he was. Moving on to the next comment, another one from Michael here. The Broncos offense is bad. Yeah, I agree. Like, the play calling's terrible. The receivers don't get open. The running backs are bad. We have no tight end room. The offensive line is below average at best. Well, in this game, I think when Alex Palczewski was in there, maybe Mike McGlinchey was a little bit better. But the fact that you had two backups in there, one of which was a third stringer, didn't really help. Bo Nix, I'm not too concerned about. Like I said, he's still a rookie, still learning. And honestly, like I said before, and I'll say it again, he seems like he's the only one that gives a damn on this team.
He's got
Uh,
heart, that's for sure.
yeah, he wants to win. And I think Sean Payton and just a lack of talent is what's holding them back. Another one from Michael here. He said running back Alvin Kamara is going to be a problem for the Broncos. Yeah, he is. I agree.
I
I
kind of
thought
forgot
this.
about him.
Yeah, I thought this Broncos
Yeah.
run defense was actually solid. I mean, we all the guys on the defensive line. DJ Jones was a guy that we brought in to help stop the run. Zach Allen, same thing. Which Zach Allen's the best defensive lineman we got right now. Uh, Malcolm Roach was brought in to help stop the run. Who was the other one? Who was the other defensive lineman? There was Malcolm Roach, Zach Allen, DJ Jones, and there's another one up there. I forgot who it was.
Franklin Myers.
John Franklin Myers. He was brought in to stop the run. That didn't help today. Like you're going up against J.K. Dobbins. That's not even the Chargers' number one running back. Their number one running back was Gus Edwards, and he was out today. And this run game shredded you for 128 yards on the ground. So I wouldn't be surprised if Alvin Kamara freaking destroys us next week. Like
I hope not.
that's what the Saints are going to do. Like with Justin Herbert, I said the same thing with the Chargers, but Justin Herbert can at least throw the ball downfield. Spencer Rattler is going to be in his second game. You know what? And Dennis Allen's a defensive court or head coach, so they're probably going to run the ball. And if we get the same defense, next week as we got this week, Kamara's probably going to pop off for like over 100 yards. I wouldn't put it past him.
And you know,
Uh,
it's something interesting that I mean, when we were having our conversation during the game, John Harbaugh gave the blueprint to beating this defense, sort of.
mhm.
I mean, hopefully, PS2 is back. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but if he's not back, that's going to be a problem. If we
I
have
can
a
tell you the
competent
biggest.
quarterback playing against us.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you the biggest blueprint and that the Chargers gave out to beat this Broncos defense, and it's not even that hard. Just have motion.
Hmm.
If you got a lot of motion on offense, you're going to beat this Broncos defense
Yeah.
easily. Like they get confused, the guys are in the wrong spot. There's someone always wide open. There was one play I remember. I think it was they were in our territory, and they had a lot of motion. I think they had like a receiver um, come across this way, and then he went up and did like a drag route across the middle. There was nobody near him. It was the one play. I think it was that McCorkle kid or whatever. He got down to like the 3 or 2 yard line, and he got popped, really hard, and he went out of the game because I think Brandon Jones and one of the corners tackled him, or it was Stranad, I think, tackled him, and he got hurt on that play. But he was running wide open. I'm surprised he didn't get a touchdown
Hmm.
because they did the motion. They brought him across the line. He went up, did a little drag route, and boom, wide open, and picked up like 10 yards, almost got into the end zone. Like you just run motion on this Broncos defense, you'll beat them easily. You know, so and the Saints, I can tell you from watching them today, they do a lot of motion too. So take that with what you will. But moving on to the next comment here from another one from Michael. He's like, the Raiders lost again, make me feel better than the Broncos lost. Yeah, they lost, but I I don't feel any better. I really don't. We should have beat the Chargers today. They were decimated by injuries on defense. I understand we only had two of our big. I mean, Alex Palczewski, he was playing pretty solid. Like you were pretty much just down him. Like I'm not even gonna. I mean, I guess you could say Josh Reynolds maybe. We were down Josh Reynolds, we were down Alex Palczewski, and we were down our center. But they were down more people. Like I'm pretty sure even Rashawn Slater went out of the game in like
Hmm.
the second quarter because he got rehurt. So they had their right tackle gone. They didn't have Joey Bosa or their top corner. I forgot what his name was. And one of their linebackers, and they freaking torched us today.
They had more
Like,
injuries than we did.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if you go back and look at the Chargers injury report for the game, dude, like it was like this freaking big. The Broncos was like this big, and you
Still beat
still
us.
get freaking beat.
Yeah.
I can't feel any better about today. Like I said, I could deal with a loss. I mean, hell, I mean, Broncos country's been dealing with losses, losing seasons for the past 10 years. I mean, I'm fine with that. As long as I get shown something, whether if it's, oh, I got to look forward to the offseason, maybe we'll get our quarterback, maybe a new head coach, or, oh, I can see these young guys get evaluated. But whenever this team has no fight, they don't even try out there, it makes it even worse. Like, yeah, you still have something to look forward to. Like I said, the Broncos have cap space, their draft capital back. They're going to be able to put people on this team. They'll be able to put talent on this team that's coming up off season. But it's like, I want to see some fight. I just want, like, even if we lose, I just want to see you guys play, up to par. You could still lose, but at least you guys are making that team earn that win. The Chargers didn't have to earn shit today. Like I said, they didn't have to earn it. They literally were. I'm not going to say get there, but they were. They got to do whatever the hell they wanted to do to the Broncos on offense and defense. The Broncos didn't have any answers for this team, or just didn't even care. Like, that's what makes me mad. But I wanted to move on to the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, Mohammed, which is, what are your thoughts? Like, I kind of, we went through the offensive line, the receivers, the running backs, the defense, Sean Payton. What are your thoughts on Bo Nix? Like I said, I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, he's washed, he's trash, he's not good." What are your, thoughts on Bo Nix?
He's the guy, definitely. I have no doubt in my mind about him. I mean, he shows a lot of talent. He can run. He can, avoid sacks and stuff. Makes smart decisions and stuff. But like I said, he needs talent. He needs some talent around him. He needs Sean Payton to open up the playbook. It's the safe stuff that we were talking about. And I think Sean Payton knows this. It's just in his mind, it's not time yet. And you could tell that Bonix is getting frustrated. But
Yeah,
he's got heart. I mean, and like I said, like going back to when we drafted him, he wasn't my top choice, but he's the guy. I don't think he's the problem. I think he's the future.
well, if you go look at the rookie quarterbacks this year that have been playing really well, of course, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. Go look at their rosters. Like, not their defenses, but their offenses. What is Jaden Daniels got? He's got Bijan Robertson. He's got Terry McLaurin. He's got another good wide receiver and another good back.
Loaded.
Uh, the Bears, they have DJ Moore. They have Keenan Allen, Aroma Dunze. They got Cole Kmet, and they got Swift. Like, they have talent on those rosters.
Mhm.
And they're, those guys are playing really good because they actually have the talent. Like, the only person on this team that anybody would say, oh, is somewhat talented, you've seen things out of him where you're like, oh, wow, yeah, he could possibly, or he's one of the best on the team, is Cortland Sutton. And even he's not playing worth a crap this year. He's not really like looking like he's getting open. Like, I think you're right. I think he wants out of Denver. I don't think he wants to be here, and he wants out. That's why he's not even really trying. Like, if honestly, Mohammed, like, we're sitting at 3-3 right now. We're still at 500, but by, I think it's, what is it? This coming up week is week 7, week 8. When we play the Panthers, I think week 9 is a trade deadline. Like, this team could very easily be sitting at probably 4-4 going into that Ravens game. Like, I think it's a toss up. They could either lose to the Panthers or lose to the Saints, and maybe, and beat one of those teams. Or it's possible they win both, or it's possible they lose both. If they lose both, I think the Broncos are going to be sellers at the deadline.
Yeah, that would make
They
a
will.
lot of sense.
If they go 1-1 in these next 2 games, they beat one, either the Panthers or Saints, and lose to the other one, and they're sitting there at 4-4. I don't think they're going to be sellers. I think they'll still hang on to all the pieces. If they go 2-0, of course they're not going to sell. Going into that Ravens game week 9, or is it week 9? Yeah, week 9. They're not going to be. If they go 0-2 in these next 2 games, I could see Cortland Sutton being gone, Javonte being gone, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anybody else on this roster worth any draft capital teams are going to give up for. Javonte, you'll maybe get a 6th. Cortland Sutton, maybe a 3rd. Because Cortland Sutton has not played well this year. So I don't You're not going to get a second or first out of him. You might, if you're lucky, might get a third. But Javante, you're probably going to be lucky to even get a fifth out of him, especially if he's playing the way he's playing. Same with Sutton. Uh, but with all that said, I'm like I said, to me, Bo Nix is the only one on this team that gives a damn. He's the only one trying. And I could deal with the inaccurate passes right now, because Bo Nix is learning. Like he's gonna slowly learn throughout the year. And the fact that he's got heart and he's got passion, like go back and look at all the other Broncos quarterbacks on this roster in the past, say 5 years. None of them were like that. None of them were screaming at the coach. None of them were getting upset. None of them were trying that hard to win. They're just like, whatever. Bo Nix is actually out there really putting himself at risk, running the ball, being the leading rusher on the team, possibly maybe getting injured because he's running like crazy because the offensive line can't block. Nobody's getting open. Like, if anything, outside of PS2, like this is my thing. Outside of PS2 and Bo Nix, everybody could be on the freaking trade block for all I care. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Everyone outside of PS2, Bo Nix, and I'd say Nick Benito because he's actually a good pass rusher. I like him. And Riley Moss. And Jaquan McMillan. I mean, there's a few guys. I'm going through
It's
thinking,
more on the offense side than it is the
yeah,
defense
like
side.
you
Is
can
what
get
you
rid
mean.
of everybody on the offense for all I care. Like, the only good players on the offense, in my opinion, are Quinn Miners and freaking Bo Nix. That's it. Everybody else can go. But let's touch on a couple of these. We got a few more comments here from Michael. The Chargers bye really helped them over the Broncos this week. Yeah, it probably did. I mean, they did get a little bit more healthier, but you know what? The Jets, whenever we played them, we had to go to New York to play them. They were coming off of a mini bye. And granted, it was an ugly game, but we still won. So I just, me personally, Jim Harbaugh, he just outcoached Sean Payton. Like, there's no other way to slice it and dice it. He outcoached him. And hopefully that's not going to be an issue next year because, like I said, or as everybody knows, Jim Harbaugh is going to be in our division probably for years to come. We're going to have to face him twice a year.
Yep.
God forbid, or God freaking forbid, if the Raiders get a decent head coach and a quarterback, God, then we're going to deal with,
I think they will,
Jim
Eddie.
Harbaugh, freaking
This is the
Justin
year.
Herbert, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and then whoever the freaking Raiders get.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next comment here, we'll get on our last topic here in a second because we're almost at an hour, Mohammed. My thoughts on Bo Nix right now is he's showing progress in each NFL game despite no weapons and on the Broncos offense. Yeah,
That's fair.
you're 1,000% right, Michael. And it's not just the weapons that he doesn't have. He doesn't have a run game either. He doesn't have a tight end. Like Greg Dulcich has been a healthy scratch the last 2 weeks because I don't know if they're trying to trade him or what they're doing, but he has not been on the field. He's been healthy. I don't think Sean Payton trusts him. Javante, trash. He's garbage. He can't. His vision is trash. He can't hold on to the ball, and the receivers are just not getting open. So Bo Nix doesn't have tight ends, receivers, or running backs. The only like maybe whenever Mike McGlinchey comes back, this like will be a better unit. I mean, last year this offense, the only piece that they're missing from last year on this offense is Lloyd Cushenberry, and it was a top 10 offensive line last year. So McGlinchey comes back, maybe Luke Wattenberg comes back, maybe it'll be a top unit. Your offensive line, I mean, outside of Garrett Bowles, because I don't think they're going to resign him. I think they're going to find someone else to be left tackle. This offense is going to need the biggest overhaul. I think on defense, all you need is a pass rusher and maybe another guy up front to help stop the run. But this offense needs a tight end and needs at least two good wide receivers and a number one for sure. It's going to need a left tackle and it's going to need a better running back. You're
They're
going to
gonna
need
have to
all of
spend
those.
some money. They're gonna have to spend some money, Eddie.
The offense is going to have the most money spent. Like I said,
Yeah.
you're going to have to get a good running back, a true number one receiver, probably a second string receiver. You're going to have to get a tight end and a left tackle. That's just the nature of the beast. You're going to have to. On defense, like I said, maybe another defensive lineman to help stop the run and a pass rusher. That's what you need. But that all out of the way, Mohammed. Last subject I want to touch on here was the Robert Saleh firing. I can't talk. Um, what was your initial reaction to that?
Honestly, Eddie, I was really pissed off because I mean I like the coach and I know why he got fired. You know, two like what was the record like when he got fired? 2-3. Ooh, that's not bad. I mean they didn't lose like 5 games. I think it was like a 2-3. He got fired, and I think he got fired because of Aaron Rodgers. Even though Aaron Rodgers is acting like it wasn't his fault, like he didn't know about it. But okay, you fired him. Who's going to be the coach next season? Nobody's going to be willing to play to coach Aaron Rodgers because he's not going to give him that respect. I mean, you see him getting on Robert Tala's face and doing all this. I mean, his shenanigans. I mean, come on, man. His attitude. I don't see any coach doing that. And then Hackett lost his play calling abilities. That was a little funny. I know you enjoyed that.
Yes,
But
I
it's
did.
like it's a mess, Eddie. Like it's a mess, and you know it's sad that he got fired. But I hope he goes somewhere else. You know, better, a different organization, because I do think he's a good coach.
Well, I know that there was talks about him going back to the 49ers and being the DC there because their defense has been struggling, and he actually had that unit really good. But I'm not gonna lie, Robert Saleh wasn't the greatest head coach. He really wasn't. Like I figured it was only probably a matter of time. Like if I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to play another year. I think he retires after this year. And even if they would have kept Robert Saleh, they probably would have fired him at the end of this year anyway. You know, just scrap the whole thing and start the rebuild. Um, but no, it wasn't his fault. It was not his fault. It was all Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers. They are garbage, both of them. Aaron Rodgers is trash. He's washed. And honestly, I said this last week, and I got a couple of people saying I was silly for saying this, but I don't think I am. The Aaron Rodgers thing in New York, it was like the Russell Wilson year one in Denver.
In which
Russell Wilson
sense,
had
Eddie?
Russell Wilson had all the control of this organization his first year in Denver. He was able to have his own parking spot, his own office. They catered to Russ like no freaking other. Because they're like, oh, you're our savior of the franchise. We've been looking for a quarterback for God knows how many years. You're the savior. Anything you want, Mr. Russ, you can have as long as you save this organization. And how'd that go? And Hackett I mean, I'm not saying Hackett was great because he wasn't. He was a terrible head coach. But this was Russell Wilson's team his first year here. He was in charge. They didn't make decisions without consulting with Russ, kind of like with the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. And there was a report before Robert Saleh did get fired that he was in the process of trying to replace Hackett. Like he was going to fire him and replace him. And it was like I think the day before the a couple days before that news came out saying or that you know Saleh was going to fire Hackett and bring someone else in. Aaron Rodgers heard that and was like, nope, you need to get rid of him. And we know Aaron Rodgers was part of it. He was the reason why Saleh got fired because regardless of what Woody Johnson says, the night before Saleh got fired, him and Aaron Rodgers were on the phone talking. And Aaron Rodgers like, oh, he was just calling me to check on me, ask me, how you doing, this, that. Bullshit. You talked to Woody Johnson and you were like, I want him gone. He's trying to get rid of my best friend,
Hmm.
Nathaniel Hackett. You need to get rid of him. That everybody knows that's what happened. It was all over the talk shows last week. We know that's what happened.
It's just so
Aaron Rodgers,
childish, Eddie. Seriously, like this is football. What are you doing? I mean, come on.
Aaron Rodgers is a 40-year-old man child, which is fine. If you're at home and you want to be a man child in your own personal time, fine, whatever. Be a man child. I'm 36 and I'm a man child, but I act like an adult at work. And that's what Aaron Rodgers needs to do. But that's what I'm saying. Aaron Rodgers is like with the Jets is Russell Wilson with the Broncos this first year. He is running that organization like Russ was his first year here. Whenever Sean Payton got here, it was like, nope, you're done. You ain't having all this crap. You're gonna do what I tell you to do, and that's just the way of it. And that's the only I don't think that's gonna happen. Like you're right. Like there's no head coach that's gonna come in there as long as Aaron Rodgers is there that's actually competent
Mhm.
and be like, yeah, I'm going to deal with this. So where Rodgers is my boss, and if I don't do what he says, I'm going to get fired. What coach is going to sign up for that?
Nobody.
Maybe a young rookie head coach who doesn't know any better, like a Nathaniel Hackett. Like I wouldn't be like if Aaron Rodgers stays another year, I wouldn't be surprised if Hackett became the freaking head coach in New York.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? I didn't even think of that possibility. Oh my God! You
I'm just
probably
saying, like if
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers decides to play another year after this year, you know Woody Johnson's going to do whatever Aaron Rodgers wants because he's a savior of the Jets. He's the savior. If they try to interview head
It's so
coaches,
funny.
if they try to interview head coaches and Rodgers like, I don't like him, I don't like him. No, no, no. Who do you think Rodgers going to be like? Oh, I want either I'm going to want somebody that's going to cater to me and listen to me because I'm the
My
boss,
friend, I want my friend.
or I want Hackett in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be one of those two. It's either going to be a young rookie coach that is getting in over his skis, and Rodgers is going to be his boss. Rodgers is going to still be running the team, even though you got a new head coach, or it's going to be Nathaniel Hackett. That's if Rodgers plays another year. If not, then like if Rodgers decides to retire after this year, they're going to scrap everything. I wouldn't be surprised if this offseason, if Rodgers retires, you see the Jets sell off all their pieces, like Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, Allen, or maybe not Allen. They'll probably keep him, but like Sauce, even like I think they probably get rid of Sauce.
Yes.
Like they're probably gonna sell off their entire freaking team if Aaron Rodgers retires and start rebuilding. But that's like people laughed at me whenever I said the Aaron Rodgers thing in New York is like the Broncos thing with Russell Wilson a few years ago. Whenever it was his first year, it's the exact same. Russ had he had the throat of this organization. Aaron Rodgers has the same thing with the Jets. They are going to cater to his every need and do whatever he asks because he's the savior of the franchise. He's the quarterback that came there to save the franchise, even though he's not going to save it because he's garbage and he's washed. And honestly, Rodgers to me is garbage. He's Dak Prescott, only older. The only difference between Rodgers and Dak is Rodgers has the MVPs. But you know what? I don't give a damn about MVPs. That's an individual accolade. What has he done with the Green Bay Packers after winning that Super Bowl? What was it, 13 years ago? Nothing. Yeah, great. They got a regular season record. They make the playoffs every year, but they choke every year in the playoffs. The Packers did. That's Dak Prescott. Have a great regular season record, get to the playoffs, and choke. Kansas City Chiefs before 2018. Good during the regular season, then choke in the freaking playoffs. Like, I'm sorry, Rodgers he's not like just because he gets a bunch of MVPs doesn't mean he's a great quarterback, in my opinion.
I agree.
What
He
do you
needs
do
to
in the
retire.
playoffs? You don't do jack in the playoffs. Like they could like they could pay Jordan Love, pretty much a rookie. Jordan Love got him to the playoffs last year. Granted, they got eliminated, but Jordan Love, who's a lot less money, got him to the playoffs with basically the same roster from the last year with Aaron Rodgers there. So why pay Rodgers? Oh, Rodgers is going to give us a great regular season record and a bunch of MVPs. Okay, your team still didn't win the Super Bowl. Like I don't see the hype around Rodgers. I really don't. Like they want to bag on Dak Prescott. Granted, like I said, Rodgers does have the one Super Bowl 13 years ago, uh, and all these MVPs, but it doesn't matter. The NFL is what have you done for me lately? What have you done for this team lately? That's what the NFL is. Rodgers hasn't had jack for any freaking team. He hasn't done nothing. It's no different than a head coach like Sean Payton. He won a Super Bowl back, 14 years ago? And we're starting to see why, I mean, he didn't get fired from New Orleans, but yeah, he got the New Orleans to the playoffs every year. But when you're a New Orleans fan, you're like, yeah, we made the playoffs almost every year. But it's like, okay, when are we going to win a Super Bowl? Great. Our regular is make the playoffs, but we want to win a Super Bowl. When are we going to do that, Sean? Never happened after that one time. Same with Mike McCarthy. Won one Super Bowl. What has he done since then? Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
The NFL is a what have you done for me now league. Like, yes, I was excited to get Sean Payton, but honestly, unless Sean Payton starts turning something around or this team does win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years, like, this is my thing. If this Broncos team does not win a Super Bowl within the next 3 years after this year, next year, 2025, 6 or 7, the Broncos don't win a Super Bowl in that time. After all the money, Sean getting his own guy at quarterback, all the money and draft capital they had to build this team, if they don't win a Super Bowl within that time, or Sean Payton's, tenure with the Broncos at all, Sean Payton's hire was a failure, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, that's the ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. So
That's just my opinion. Like a lot of people might not like that, but if Sean doesn't win a Super Bowl with this team, like I think Sean's probably going to at least coach another 10 years. If he doesn't at least win one Super Bowl in that time span with this team, having his guy that he hand selected, it's a failure. What are your thoughts on that, Muhammad, before we get out of here for the night?
I mean, I agree. I mean, if because I mean, why are we all playing this? Like, I mean, why do teams play this game? I mean, to win the Super Bowl, that's the goal. I mean, you build the team, and hopefully you go to the playoffs, and then in a few years you go to the final game, and you win it. You win it all. That's the whole point. If that's
Yeah,
not the goal, then like why play in the first place? So, um, yeah, I agree with you. If we don't, that's a failure.
yeah, because whenever like you said it yourself, when the whole point of the game is to win a Super Bowl. When you see these teams that are so bad, that like the Raiders or the Broncos over the last 10 years, you see that they're so bad. And then you see them go out and try to make changes. Like, okay, we're going to hire this head coach. We're going to hire this GM. This head coach drafts this quarterback, builds a roster in his image. You're doing all this to compete for a Super Bowl. Like, if you don't win one within that head coach's time span, like, there's a reason. Okay, Nathaniel Hackett, Josh McDaniels, or any of the head coaches that have been fired after a year or two, like, or after three, even like Vic Fangio, like, you fire them because you brought them in to build your team and help your team win a Super Bowl. Because that, like you said, that is the goal. If they don't show any kind of improvements, or like they're getting better to get to the playoffs and maybe possibly get to a Super Bowl, there's no point in keeping that guy around. You want the best people available to help build a roster and get to a Super Bowl. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl and got fired 3 years later because he couldn't figure out how to build the roster. Like,
And
there's
he's
a
about to
reason.
get fired again.
Yeah, he is. The Jags took a really another bad loss today in London. That was, ugh. But yeah, like that's my thing. Um, if Sean Payton doesn't win a Super Bowl in his tenure with the Broncos, that hire to me, no matter how long he's here, even if he makes the playoffs, say the next like after this year, if he makes the playoffs the next 3, 4, 5 years, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, like to me, for any coach, honestly, especially a Super Bowl winning head coach like Sean Payton, you don't win a Super Bowl after you built the team in your image, got your guy, and you had multiple years here, it's a failure.
I
That's just the
agree.
way I see it. So, but anyway, guys, I think that's it for us tonight. I'm gonna go relax, maybe drink some more beer, get something to eat, uh, to help forget about tonight and move on to Thursday. Hopefully, we get the win. Fingers crossed. But Mohammed, it was great talking to you again tonight, man. Any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
I think the Broncos going to continue to struggle. It's sad for me to. I mean, it's sad to say that, but I think they're going to continue to struggle. But I'm kind of looking forward to the future, and hopefully, things kind of get better next season. Off season, getting the free agency and getting some talent in there. The offense hopefully gets more consistent. You know, because I think that's an issue for us. But
Yeah. I hope so too. Like I said, like even if they start going on a mini winning streak, like I'm not gonna get my hopes up for the playoffs. I'm just gonna be like, cool. Bo Nix is looking better. The team's looking better. Like I said, this team's so inconsistent. One week you're gonna get a team that's gonna fight their ass off. The next week you're gonna get a team that's just gonna lay down and after they get punched in the mouth. You don't know what team you're gonna get from week to week. So, but that's it for us tonight, guys. We're gonna go ahead and jump off here. If you've been in this video watching this entire time, please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Also hit the bell notification. Be alerted whenever we do go live on Sundays or anytime. So, Mohammed, it was great talking to you, man. And I will speak to you throughout the week, and I will see you next week again.
All right, good night.
Peace.